Alrighty, it is Monday night, and tonight I have a special guest. He's been on the show once before. He was on last year talking about his book, Tales of Battle, which I bought. Unfortunately, I haven't had a chance to really dive into it yet. Um, from what I read of it, though, I really like it, so I'm really looking forward to actually reading it. Now that you got the second one out, I'm gonna have to actually read it. Um, and so anyway, I guess we could just dive right in here. Oh, hold on, I'm gonna pop out the chat. Wow, see, I was messing around too long. There we go. So, how are things in your world before we start with the questions?
Oh, wild. Wild, actually, probably more wild than they've ever been. As far as my writing world goes and my actual world goes, it's just, I feel
Yeah.
like a book. All my pages are compressed and full of everything.
Oh, yeah. Well, it seems like every time I turned on Instagram, you were somewhere else, like on the other side of the world.
Yeah, there's that part too.
You travel faster than COVID. But you have been to some amazing places, and I love going over your Instagram. I'm a big fan of mountains and forests, so your pictures of Oregon were just beautiful. Like
Thank you.
I do like the ruins that you visited, but I'm a nature all the way. So um,
I'm a little
and
bit of both. I like them both.
yeah, well, fun. I would don't get me wrong. I'd love to go like to Athens and stuff like that, to ancient history. But my go-to is always nature, the mountains, and like I love it up here in Colorado. So, but yeah, some of the places you've been to are like makes me jealous because those are places I will never see in person. I'm
Well,
I'm
never
getting
say never.
I'm getting too old to play jump, man. Anywho, the second book of Tales of Battle came out on January 22nd. That was last Wednesday. For those that are watching, that's where the QR code leads to is his book. What can you tell us about it without giving away too many spoilers?
So I don't want to spoil one for people that haven't read it.
Yeah,
I will
that's the
say
tough part.
that the who comes out on top of book one faces deep issues still stemming from book one. The ram that you see on the cover starts a rebellion in the Empire, and they're faced with that issue. And then all the issues kind of combine, and they end up going and seeking out the Leos, which were the Empire leaders for a long time. And there's a darkness that's coming, like an ancient darkness that I won't spoil too much, but it's kind of like an ancient magic and a different take on vampires, basically.
Ooh.
And, yep, and they have to stop that. And this is where magic gets introduced in book two. The Lightbringers, priests of fire, because fire versus darkness, light versus dark, and one of the Leos is actually a fire priest. So you get introduced to more of like the gods and the different sects of magic. And then across the world in the kingdoms, a bigger war is starting. You know, they're all in the Fleur, and there's multiple kingdoms at war now. Basically, everything has gone into mayhem. And you have the elves over there on that side that are joining. You have things that were once friends now fighting, and it's like a huge winter storm, which hence War of Winter.
Mm.
So and more magical. There's more magic on that side too. You know, and Jacama in book two starts finding himself in a totally different predicament, and he grows a very different way. So there's also that. Yeah,
Yeah,
there's a lot. It's a big bridge to book three, basically.
man. And it comes right after the events of the first book.
Pretty soon after. Yeah, there's not like a huge stretch. You can kind of, I mean, guesstimate yourself, but it's pretty short after.
Cool. Coincidentally, you can buy both books right now as a series set on Amazon. I saw that when I was looking at it the other day. I think it's like 7.98 for both ebooks, something like that. Do you have them
Sounds right.
both? Do you have them both in print as a set, or just the ebooks?
Not yet, just the ebooks. I'm hoping to get book three out at the end of this year, and I'll make like a three-book set. And then when book four through six come out, after I'm done editing those, I'm hoping, two, three-book sets. And then I don't know, I don't even know if they do a six-book set, but if they do, that's cool too.
Oh, yeah, but I think Harry Potter has 7 in it, right?
Oh, yeah, that's true.
There you go. Let's see. Diana asks, how long a typical book is. I know that Tales of Battle behind me is a fairly thick book. Um, did I read right that this next one has more pages to it?
Less pages.
So it's less
Um,
pages.
Tales of Battle book one is 124,000, I think. This one is, I'm trying to think, maybe 108,000 or so, but considerably less.
So that's roughly around 400 pages print.
I can tell you right now. Yeah,
Yeah.
actually, pretty much 396 pages.
God damn, I'm good.
Yeah, that's good. I would not have even known.
So there you go, Diana. It's about 400 pages for this next one, and Tales about the first book is much longer. Let's see. I love how you have the map and the chapter portraits in your first book. Because I was reading through it, and plus the glossary thing that you have in the back. That is different because it kind of breaks
That
down
was
everything it's saying.
hard.
Um, do you have any special in this next book, or do you want to just surprise people? Because I
I
really likes the
don't. I was
portraits.
trying to get a map made, but it didn't coincide with when the book came out, so I'm hoping to get that into book three. The glossary for book two is just different, basically, just because some characters have died, some characters are added, so just like an updated glossary. Did the maps a little bit differently, so
Mm.
they're like a
Oh,
little more
nice.
spread out. Unfortunately, Amazon wouldn't let us do it how we wanted to,
Oh,
which was one full map on 2 pages because it just wouldn't accept it. So it's
yeah.
a little bit wonky, but um, nothing super different in this one. Just yeah, pretty similar.
Did you use any kind of art app for the map in this one, or did you hand draw it?
It's hand drawn,
Hand- So we're going
not by
old
me though.
Tolkien side.
Yeah, I just think I look at other people's maps. I'm like, oh, that's cool, but you can tell it's digitally created,
Mm,
and I just really love hand drawn maps. No, you can't do, well, you could, but it'd take a lot longer. You can't do all the beautiful like outside stuff quite like you can on the other maps,
yeah.
unless you want to add, whatever, however many hours that takes. But I just really love the uniqueness, and it can't be reconstructed, right? Because it's one of a kind hand drawn. So
Yeah. True. How many books do you have planned for Tales of Battle? I know that as I've been fleshing out my fantasy world, that I'm probably going to have quite a few because my world is just getting bigger and bigger. It's going to wind up being like uh Harry Potter size. It just keeps
uh,
going. So, but do you have any future plans on how long you want to keep the series going, or would you do like spin-offs of different characters but along the same kind of like the same universe?
so I actually just finished book six back in November, and I haven't written much since then. I've been planning in my next series and putting like a lot of thought into it, and I'm being a plotter instead of a pantser for once. So I'm really gearing up, but I've also just been in this lull because I did my
Mhm.
first three books and I was like, okay, that's it. Tales of Battle's done. And I was like, well, I'll do a prequel, which book four is a prequel, way back in the battles of magic, like when magic had the earth that they're in.
Mhm.
And then I was like, well, I want to make this island area. So I did book five. And then it really made me miss like my main characters from the first three books. And I was
Yeah.
like, now I have to make this all together, do book six. So I had to go back through book five, change a bunch of things to make its timeline match up with book one, book one and two, and then make it all match up for book six, which I actually still don't even know if I did well or not. We'll see what my editors think. But I ended up kind of wrapping it up. And it was such a good, powerful ending for me that I don't think I want to do more. Easy to say now. In the future, maybe I'll be like, I do want to revisit that world. Maybe I want to do the rise of Caesar when he's young, or maybe I want to do some other future and you guys can see what it's like 100 years later. But right now, I've actually just kind of been enjoying finishing the series. Obviously, now starting to edit books 3, 4, 5, and 6, which is my least favorite thing in the entire universe. So it was such a good ending to me, and I feel like fulfilled, which is why I think I've been not writing too much the last couple months because I just feel really fulfilled and light, and I feel like I got it all out there, and now I'm just kind of planning a little bit, doing a little bit. So
Nice. Yeah, I've always like I have my main storyline going for the Witchem Chronicles, and one of my ideas was to have somewhere off on the other, still on the same map, the same world, but a completely different story going along the same timeline. So kind of referencing back and forth, but I don't know. I'm just weird, I guess. I love editing.
yeah, that makes sense. I mean, I
I'm
heard there's one author I heard that does kind of who was it? He does this wild thing where he has like this planet, but he does it way in the future and way in the past and all these different timelines.
Mhm.
And like some of the characters intertwine or something. And I don't know. Someone was telling me about it when I lived in Colorado, actually,
Oh, yeah.
at Home Depot, because he was reading the series. I wish I knew what it was called. And I was like, man, that sounds like the most complex, convoluted, but also awesome world building that I've like ever heard of. So
That sounds like something Sanderson would do.
it does, which is why I was trying to think if it's him or not, but I can't remember.
Because he's done a lot of stuff. Kind not like I don't know if he's ever done that particular, but he's done a lot of stuff that were similar. So I don't know. He might have. Um, where else was I going with that? Oh, okay. So, the premise behind Tales of Battle, Tails, is animalistic. So, like your characters are animals essentially. Are there any animals you'd like to try or any animals that you have coming up that are a little unique? Because I know you've done all 6 books already. Um, like personally, I'd try like doing a lemming, leaping before considering the consequences, not necessarily suicidal. I think that might be kind of fun. But do you have anything like that coming up, or kind of like an off the
In one of the
wall,
books, I
odd?
finally oh, like a weird animal.
Yeah,
My prequel, I finally used a red panda, which is my favorite animal, so I got super excited to do that, and I really
nice.
enjoyed it. A Shiba Inu. Actually, I guess all the unique animals are in like my prequel. There's one of the most endangered monkeys in the world. It's like a little white monkey in China. Now I forget what it's called. I can't remember what it's called.
I don't.
It's in my phone.
Okay.
But I used him as a main character. So it's like him, a Shiba, a red panda, something else. I toss in a few different animals here and there. I get into book 5 gets into like this Wolverine family because I think Wolverines are super
Oh
cool.
yeah,
And
me
now
too.
living up here, there's been sightings, and I'm like, oh man. So I did this cool like Wolverine King family scenario. So there is some. I would say my prequel probably has the most unique animals, but
Yeah. Hmm. Cool. Let's see. Diana says that's impressive. This is from when you were talking about the length of your book. Tell them that I only have to write 50,000 word book for my master's degree. Now I don't feel like a. Now I don't feel like I can complain.
oh, that's cool. Fifty
Yeah.
thousand word book for a master's degree. That's a novella, right? Is 50,000 a novella or a novel?
It'll be just under a novel. I think novels start basically at about 65,000. Um,
That's what I thought
most
too. Okay.
most will range between 8 and 95, depending on the genre. For fantasy, it's between 85 and 95, and yeah, so 50,000 ain't too bad.
Oh, that's cool, actually. I mean, for my degree, we wrote like a short story. We all compiled it together and had it sent off to Canada to produce, which was still cool, but not as cool as that.
Yeah, nice. She says, I'm actually writing a nonfiction book. I'm not really a novelist. Yeah, she does
Oh.
the nonfiction, historical fiction she was interested in. So,
No, nonfiction is way harder in my opinion because I
yeah,
love fiction. So for
yeah.
me, nonfiction is. I'm
well, you did.
ghostwriting right now in nonfiction, actually.
Well, you did the one, the story of the
I
World War II.
fictionalized parts of it,
Oh,
but I like made up parts of it. So it was kind of like I took what he gave me and then added to it to make like a story.
mm.
Whereas like just writing purely nonfiction, you're bound by like way more rules.
Oh yeah, there's
Um,
tons more
so
research in it. Like you have to
yeah, and I'm
know.
ghostwriting one right now. So it's
Oh
I
yeah,
know how difficult it is, and I'm just like, whoo, yeah. Nonfiction writers, they have. I mean, all writers have my respect and everything, but nonfiction, they have my respect for sure.
yeah, yeah. That's insane. I just realized that the audio for the stream was like stupid loud. Sorry, everybody who's watching. I'm quiet. You're like red lighting it.
Oh,
That was
really?
yeah. That
Oh,
was
I do get excited and shout too.
oh,
So
that's right. That's all me. I should have checked the levels before we started. That's right.
sorry for shouting at you all.
All good. Um, but yeah. So where was I? Okay, we talked about it. Okay, okay, so here's one I was curious about. Do you use any apps or programs to help you keep track of all the stuff that's in Tales of Battle, or do you just wing it? Kind of like how I use World Anvil. That I've been starting to use World Anvil now that I'm like almost done with book 2, and I realized that there was way too much for me to remember. I am too old. So I've been trying to write everything in World Anvil. Is there anything that you use to keep track of your worlds, or is just pad and paper? Pad and paper.
Pen and paper, and sometimes my Word document. I actually just found out I thought this, and I wrote book 6, and I included this character, and I was like, I think I killed that character. And I started editing book 3, and I was like, damn, I did kill that character. So I have to go back to book 6, take that character out, and like alter a few things, which is not that big of a deal. But if I would have paid more attention to my updates, which is the problem with pen and paper, is sometimes you don't update it as much because it's a little inconvenient. But
Yeah, I spent 3 days researching how far a thoroughbred can travel at full speed because I had to have
oh,
everybody combine all at once at one specific spot in Kingmaker, and that was a lot of fun, especially if I didn't have a map. So it was
that's one thing I'm actually afraid of for my upcoming series is that because I'm doing it more like realistic,
oh yeah.
like it's still fantasy but more realistic, and I'm like, man, distances and time frames are not my expertise.
Yeah,
So
it can get wild when you're trying to get stuff to perfectly line up.
yeah, because you know there's going to be someone that's like, well, that doesn't make any sense. How did that happen? It's like it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's fantasy. That's how.
Well, in chapter 3, it would have taken him 5 days to get to that river. It's my book. It happens how I say it happens. Plot
Yep.
armor. All right. So, and you make your maps by hand, which I think is awesome. So yeah, you just kind of grab a notebook and go. Diana says, "Can you tell him? I think fiction writing is way harder. I don't see that's she's brought that up before. I don't like. I'm in the same boat. I think nonfiction is much more difficult because you have to research everything because someone's going to call you out on it, and
But
so
you also have rules,
oh
right? You
yeah,
have specific rules you have to abide by. We don't. We can literally do.
yeah,
My professors were even like, you realize if you do a fantasy book, you can use whatever punctuation you want because it's fantasy. You actually don't have to abide by the rules. And I was like, it was so
yeah.
crazy because I was like, I'm an English major, and you're literally telling me that nothing actually matters in fiction. Um, but yeah, well, except for historical fiction, I think historical fiction is arguably the most difficult
Mhm.
thing to write. But like, yeah, nonfiction to me, you're so bound, and you have to make it interesting. So it's like you're almost a journalist but instead of an article, you're doing a book, and in that book, you have to be precise, you have to be interesting, and you have to be different. And
Yeah,
that to me, if you can do that in nonfiction, that's hard.
yeah, yeah. I agree. Like with fiction stuff, you can bend the rules of physics. Doesn't matter
Yep.
as
Break
long as you're
physics.
yeah,
You can cut physics.
as long as your audience accepts it and enjoys it. I mean, look at Star Trek with warp drive. There you go. Or replicators. They don't really dive into how replicators work. It's based off of teleporter technology, but that's because I'm a dork. But as long as your audience can accept that's what it is, then you can do virtually anything you want.
Yep.
um, I did. I melted someone's chest. Um, let's see. Okay, so you are easily one of the most well-traveled people I know, and your latest on Instagram has you on Mount Hood in Oregon, which I've been up there. I've not been up there, but I've been to Mount Hood. What's the highest that you've climbed in the world?
Balkan Fuego in Guatemala, which is 14 something, I think. I'm trying to think. I'm pretty sure it's the highest I've
Mhm.
been, at least climbing wise, and definitely the most elevation gain I've done.
Yeah. The shots that you have on Mount Hood are awesome. Like, I don't know okay, I know your dog can't take a picture. So do you take somebody with you out on all your trips to take those pictures, or do you set up a tripod?
No, sometimes I set it up against a rock or a chunk of ice or whatever I can find, and I do a selfie. Or sometimes, like on trips, I ask random people. Um, Although I have no problem just stopping someone and be like, "Hey, I'll take your picture if you take mine." Um, but yeah, a lot of times I'm setting it up against in trees. I'm setting it up on rocks and hoping it doesn't fall anywhere, and just using random stuff to set it up and take pictures.
Have you lost a camera before?
Almost. I've had my phone fall in some very precarious places.
Nice. Let's see. Diana says we're kind of jumping back and forth here. That's fine. My professors say everything has to make sense in a fictional world. I think you need to understand how things work in the real world before you break the rules. Well, that's what I mean is as long as your audience can accept what you're writing as factual or as like real, well, then you can do it just about anything. Um,
That's why I think Neil Schusterman, the Unwind series, he wrote Scythe and everything.
mhm.
I think he's like a master at that because he takes the real world and then just implements this wild stuff. But there's also authors that just write this crazy, insane stuff, but because they're good at selling it, it makes sense.
Yeah,
So I agree and disagree because I do think you have to be believable and relatable. But if you're good, you can just make up the craziest shit and it doesn't even matter.
right. Characters also have to have motivations that make sense. Yeah, well, that's true in just about anything.
That's true.
If your character, especially need the difference between needs and wants and how they change to create a character arc, but I've talked at great length about character arcs in the past. Um,
See, I just read an article that a lot of readers think that books are doing too many character arcs, which is a trend right now, right?
mhm,
Everybody wants these dynamic characters only. But stagnant characters are super important, obviously, in writing and in stories.
mhm.
I read this article randomly about that. That was just like too many dynamic characters are flooding the books, and there's not enough stagnant characters that kind of hold it in place, which I thought was an interesting concept, but also makes
Mm,
sense. I mean, we learned that. I've learned that. So
yeah. With nonfiction, all that work is done for you. I'm writing someone else's story. Yeah.
you had to do it justice. I mean, that's because right now I'm ghostwriting a story about this Tibetan tattoo artist, which there's also a huge language barrier.
Yeah.
But I'm like trying to find a way to do his story justice, and I find it super hard because I feel like someone's life is in my hands, and they're paying me to make their dreams come true and to do them justice. And it's like, I don't know, to me, it's very alarming almost.
Yeah. Yeah. I can see that. Um, okay. I'm still kind of dumbfounded as to how you started ghostwriting a book for a Tibetan tattoo artist.
So he did this tattoo,
Oh.
this the Green Tara mantra. Then we just kind of hung out a little bit, and then he pays me sometimes to do some of his to translate some of his stuff into English and put it on his socials.
Mhm.
And then, he knows I write books, and he was like, I want a book done, but I can't write it. So he's like, how much would you charge me? And I gave him a good deal because he gives me a good deal on tattoos.
Yeah.
So but I was not prepared for the chunk I was chewing off totally because doing the translation, going through all these audios and meetings, and then trying to make a book out of it is way harder. write a fantasy book way quicker than I'm going to do this.
Yeah. That is, you are one of the most interesting people I've ever met.
Thank you.
I mean, who else can say that, "Oh, yeah, I'm ghostwriting a book for a Tibetan tattoo artist?" It's like throwing some stuff at the wall and see what sticks. Um, yeah. Anywho, back to your travels, because I've got a few that's been really bugging me. I love the pics you got of Oregon. Forest Mountains are kind of my thing. What's the most amazing place that you were at in 2024? Because I think I asked you this last time, but it's been a year. So what is the highlight of 2024 for you?
I think I went to Japan last year. I don't
I
think
th-
yeah, it was
yeah,
last year.
yeah.
Um, yeah, I mean, Japan hands down, but I also did go to a different area of Greece than I've been before. Actually,
Yeah, you
I
have the
pretty
100
much
blog.
at the end of this summer I redid part of my first travel I ever did internationally, and I went back and it was equally as good as it was 7 years ago when I first started traveling.
Yeah.
That was pretty amazing. But Japan just overall, I mean, there's so many good things about it, and I just agree. I love the culture and the food and the mountains to the ocean, and
Have you ever
yeah, I haven't been anywhere more interesting than that. I don't even think.
what's the suicide forest in Japan?
I didn't go out of respect. I did really want to. Out of respect, I didn't because my
I don't
Japanese friends were
yeah.
like, "Well,
See, just out of sheer morbid curiosity, I'd at least have to see it. I don't know how ballsy I am to go in, but
oh, see, I wanted to walk through it. I was like
yeah.
willing to do the whole thing.
Yeah. Well, as long as you don't do what Jake Paul did, you should be okay.
Would hope I would never do anything Jake Paul does.
I think that everybody over the age of 20 says that. Um, okay, so Diana says Timothy is so cool. Sam says that Diana should check out your TikTok. What's your TikTok?
I have two. There's author T. Robare and Timmy is no gazelle. I assume talking about author T. Robare because I haven't done anything on the Timmy is no gazelle in a while. But
Oh, it's the one where you sell your books topless.
oh yeah, yeah, author T.
See,
Robare.
I gotta give you crap for that because last time you were on the show, you said that you weren't gonna do topless videos anymore because it makes you feel dirty. And then 2 weeks later, there you are.
Okay, that's Laura's fault because
Laura said that.
I made like three videos and they weren't doing anything. And I was like, this is so stupid. And Laura's like, take your shirt off. And I was like, fine, I'm gonna do it. And I did, and I got like triple the views. And I was like,
Yep.
fine. Everybody wants to see this, then fine.
Yeah, when I brought it up, Laura was the one that pointed out, says, "Yeah, I talked him into doing it."
Yep.
Like, well, whatever works, I guess.
We're kind of like the
Um,
devil on each other's shoulders, Laura and I. We're like, we try to be good, and then the other one's like, well, you should do this. And we just go, it's crazy.
Speaking of Laura, we can touch a little bit on this. You guys have a book coming out together. Um, I've kind of talked to her a little bit about having you guys on again when it's out, and that comes out in March.
Yep.
Okay, and so I'm not sure how much we want to dive into that yet because I would love to have Laura on at the same time, but uh, like I know we said something that we were gonna bring up, but I forgot. I'm old. I
Oh,
should have made a
the
notes.
battle
Oh, the
about
battle.
covers.
Yeah.
We'll wait for Laura. I'll plug the book real quick. It's called Mediterranean Waves. It's about an American girl that goes to Greece, has a growth experience. We went back and forth and basically wrote alternating chapters and went off of each other's, which was actually a really cool experience. I
That
kind of
sounds
always
kind of
wanted to
fun.
do a romance, but it was super fun, and it actually went surprisingly well until we had to choose a cover. Then it went really bad. But the writing part was super easy. We flowed really well, and it was kind of cool to see each other's styles. And I always wanted to write a romance, but I never like I started romances, but then I get bored by myself doing them.
Yeah.
So it was cool having someone else there to kind of go back and forth with me. Really fun experience. Goes to Greece, comes back to America, to Vermont actually, where me and Laura are both from. And then, yeah, it's a really cool experience about this girl named Sam. She goes to Greece. Her life basically changes in multiple ways. There's two cool guy characters. One of them is roughly based off of me. I'll let anybody who reads it figure that out. And yeah, I look forward to talking more about that when we get Laura on here with us.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It sounds cool, so I'm really, really jazzed.
There's
Um,
a little bit of spice in it. We Laura wanted to be a little bit spicy, so we
ooh,
spiced it up a little bit. Um, I know you did have a travel question too about Pakistan. So if you
yeah,
want to ask that, we can jump into that.
yeah. So, um, okay, so what is it about a man offering you his daughter in Peshawar, and what was with the camera crew?
Okay, so I'm gonna start it off by I'm sorry if any Pakistanis are listening because I have Pakistani friends, but Peshawar is arguably the grossest place I've ever seen. First of all, it's where basically the massive black market of drugs and guns that funnels into Europe and all over the world is.
Yeah.
You can actually go see it. They actually take you to see it, which is crazy. Um, this random Pakistani brought us through these mosques, which is what the TV crew was. They're like, "Hey, can we interview you?" And me and the Australian girl that we met in Peshawar, we were like, sure. So they interviewed us about mosques and what we think of Pakistan, which was pretty fun actually to be in TV in Pakistan
Hmm,
randomly. And armed guards were with us. You don't see the armed guards in the video, but they walked us to the mosque to protect us.
yeah.
Because they would like protect foreigners because you're on the border of Afghanistan. And when we
Oh,
were there were skirmishes on the border and all kinds of crazy stuff. Because I was supposed to go in Afghanistan, and so was the Australian girl, but we both ended up not going because of issues at the border.
yeah.
Um, I also did have, well, I don't know if I should say this because people are going to take this wrong. I had to get a visa to go in Afghanistan, so I did have tea with the Taliban, which was super weird experience.
I bet.
Super strange as an
Wait,
American.
you had tea with the Taliban?
Yeah, because
Jesus, man.
you sit getting your visa for a while, and they like offer you tea, and obviously you're not going to refuse tea from them. So you're like, okay, we're gonna have
Yeah.
tea.
All right.
Um,
Let's do this.
that was yeah, so that was interesting. So Peshawar is near the border, really gross, and we're walking down the street. We just had dinner, and it's even weird because Peshawar is set up in like military. If you go out of certain zones, you have to go through the military. They take your passport. It's a really weird experience. I became very good friends with random Pakistani military guys because I saw them multiple times for 3 days.
Yeah.
Um, and they want to take pictures with us. They're like taking selfies with us with their guns and stuff. It's so weird. But so we're walking down an alley back to our hotel because me and the Aussie girl are staying at the same hotel, and this gentleman grabs me and goes, "Take," and points to his daughter, who's I don't maybe 11 or 12, I don't know. And I said, "What? Take?" He said, "Take." And I said, "Take your daughter?" He said, "Take." And I said, "I'm not taking your daughter, sir." And the Australian girl was like, "What is happening?" And he looked really upset. So I got home and I talked to my friend that travels to Afghanistan a lot, or I got to the hotel, and he was like, "That happens a lot because the dads want their daughters to go to safety. You know, Pakistan,
Mm,
Afghanistan's not super safe for women. They want a better life. So, like, as a dad, what can you do besides give your daughter to someone that can offer them a better life?" And I was like,
man.
huh.
Yeah, you
Because at
see an
first I was like, it's so
American?
weird. How do you offer your daughter? And
Yeah.
then he told me that, and I was like, yeah, that makes sense. Okay.
Yeah, that makes so much more sense.
Yeah. But it was still mind blowing because I was like, I've been offered a lot of things traveling, basically everything. Never someone's daughter until then.
Oh, you have tea at the
But I did message my
Taliban, you
friend.
get offered 12-year-olds, you're writing books with Tibetan tattoo artists. Jesus, man, you should write a memoir.
It's been a year. It's been a year.
That was
I
just
did message my
last
friend and was
year.
like, yeah, it's true. I was like, what if I brought her home? And my friend was like, what would you tell the TSA? And I was
Right?
like, that I'm adopting a random Afghanistan girl as a daughter? I don't know. And they were like, I don't think that's how that works. And I
Yeah,
was like,
that
oh,
that
okay.
probably wouldn't fly very well.
No, I'd probably get flagged and be in like customs for a week and then
I found
yeah.
it.
Yeah, I found this random girl and I'm gonna adopt her. Yeah, I don't know. In my head, I was like, it's a noble thing, right? But
Okay.
yeah,
Here is some that's that is a much better ending to what I thought was going to happen. Because I didn't dive too far into it. I just saw that in the Instagram that somebody you were it's the picture of you with the camera crew, and you just say how somebody offered you his daughter. I'm like, oh, I gotta know about that. Okay, so I gotta keep up with chat. I got people that are complaining here. Diana says, let's see. Jennifer says his Instagram is awesome too. That's what I follow. I'm hardly ever on TikTok. I love your Instagram. Keep posting pictures, man. I'm kind of
thank you.
dumbfounded that you don't have more followers though. I mean, because you like do some amazing shots. I'm like, yeah, you're almost Instagram famous, man.
It used to be my goal, but I think because I don't try to promote myself like influencers do,
Yeah,
I don't want to do the reels. I don't need all the hype. Like I like the hype. Don't get me wrong.
yeah,
I'm not gonna. I mean, I already spend so much time doing social media stuff for writing because all my friends are like, "Oh, you should be a travel vlogger. You should do this." And I'm like, I post my photos. If you like them, cool. If you don't, it's no. I don't care.
yeah. Well, I read your blog post of when you were in. I think it was where you were at a hostel. I think it was in the Mediterranean. I think it was Greece. I can't remember now. It was a while ago that you
Either
posted it.
Greece or Turkey, probably.
Might no, it was Turkey that I read. That's right. Let's see. Let's see. Does Timothy agree with me that the more nonfiction you read, the better fictional stories you can create because your brain has more information? Um, if from a sci-fi perspective, I bet that would probably be helpful.
Oh, for
Um,
sure for sci-fi
because the more you learn, like on astrophysics and all that, you can make some way more realistic stuff. But I don't know how.
and chemistry and everything too. Actually, any
Oh
of the
yeah,
sciences you can add into that. I think reading anything makes you better automatically because you're gaining more knowledge. You're also looking at art styles. You're always altering your art style, right? You're never writing the same exact way every time after you read something because you're
yeah,
always influenced. I don't think reading nonfiction helps build a fantasy world. I think it can give you helpful insight to, battles if you want war tactics. So it depends on what you're reading and how. Like if I'm reading a nonfiction book on climbing Everest, probably not going to help me too much, except for maybe if I'm doing a mountain scene where I can implement something similar. But if you're reading like the Tales of Julius Caesar and you're basing a character roughly off him, then yes. So yes and no. It's kind of like 50-50 dependent on what you're writing, how you're writing, and then what you're reading.
yeah. Some of the ancient battles, like if you're writing fantasy, some of the ancient battles in Earth's history are very interesting to read over.
But
Because
yeah, I mean, this is going to sound super nerdy. It's such a dude thing. Everybody else listens to music at the gym. When I'm on the treadmill or the stair climber or whatever, I'm actually watching war videos
hey,
to try to understand tactics and reasoning and all this stuff and how they use the nature because I want to implement that into my stories. So I go to work out and I spend hours watching war videos. It's the
nice.
nerdiest, most dudest thing I think probably ever, but
Hey, whatever works. I'm excited to read that one too. That's Samantha talking about the book with you and Laura. And then Jennifer says, I've got both books in the Amazon cart now.
oh, that's awesome. Thank you.
How was the tea? Was it traditional butter tea?
With the Taliban?
Yeah.
No, it was just black tea. Oh my gosh, I'm glad they didn't put butter or milk or anything in it. 'Cause it was hot. It was so just because I'm sure everybody's curious. Me and it no, it wasn't. There was a French traveler, and she didn't want to go to the embassy alone. So we met on a Facebook group, and I was like, "Oh, I'm going today. If you want to join." So we met up, and the guards at the Afghan embassy are like, "There's first of all, there's Afghanis and Pakistanis everywhere at this embassy. It's a madhouse, and it
Yeah.
looks like the outside looks like a prison." And
Nice.
this guy ushers us up to the front. He's like, "You guys, where are you from?" We show him our passports. And he like pulls us to the front. She sits in the front. We have to leave our phones and all of our items on the basically on the street next to an armed guard that probably is not going to care if someone takes it. Go through this one building into another really big grand building and sit on a couch where Taliban are walking back and forth, and this guy just asks you questions. And he was actually super nice.
Yeah.
I'm not. I mean, obviously, I don't agree with you know political stuff, whatever. I'm not getting into that. But like, the guy was super nice. Obviously, I was like, I have no idea how this is going to go as an American, and he didn't actually ask me too much. He was more like, "What do you do for a job? Do you have money? Why are you traveling? Why Afghanistan?" Obviously, which is a question that I think anybody would ask.
Yep.
So, and then was like, "Have tea," and I was like, "Well, I'm not refusing your tea because I don't know what that could be a whole power trip. I don't even know." Um, so it was a unique experience that I'm super glad I did, and just wild to even say,
Yeah.
honestly.
Yep. I don't think I know anybody that who's had tea with the Taliban. And I'm really looking forward to see what your life was like this year.
Me too. I think it's gonna be a little slower this year, but I say that every year, so I don't know.
Man, well, if this is you being slow, then Jesus. Um, okay. Diana says, I think there's more overlap between fiction and nonfiction than people think.
It's
Yeah.
probably true. I think any writing has a lot of overlap. It's just use different parts of your brain, I think. And I think just some people have more I love historical fiction, for instance, because I'm huge into history. I also love historical nonfiction. I just got a
Yeah.
Julius Caesar book actually.
Nice.
But the work that goes into like historical nonfiction, as much as I would love to write one, I can't even imagine it because I can create everything from scratch. Actually, so Tales of Battle 2 and 3, I wrote before I ever watched Avatar.
Yeah.
And then one of my beta readers, the last Airbender Avatar, not the blue
Yeah.
James Cameron Avatar. And one of my readers was like, "Oh, it seems kind of like Avatar, like some parts of it." And I was like, "I've never even watched Avatar." And then I watched it and I was like, "Man, people are gonna like
I
think
think you ripped them
that
off.
I ripped off pieces of Avatar, and I didn't even watch the show until after I was done 3 books."
Yeah. Well, there's a reason why I had an idea for a story on Mars that I was going to write. And then that summer, it was a movie that was almost the plot to the book verbatim. So like, God damn it. So I didn't
Oh,
write it because like, man, it's like somebody's watching me. I wonder how often that happens where you come up with a really good
I'd
idea
say
and then
pretty often. I think actually, I would say pretty often.
and you get those writers like me, like, God damn it, throw the manuscript out the window.
Yep.
Because you don't want to be labeled as a copycat. So um let's see. Dinah says this is why I love Charles Dickens novels because they are realistic. I'm also a big fan of classics. I love uh, Journey to the Center of the Earth, Time Machine, and Treasure Island were my. Oh, I think I read Treasure Island like 4 times when I was little. I
I'm weird
love
with
that book.
classics. I like Uncle Tom's Cabin. I love it actually. Anthem stuff. Anything by Poe,
Ah,
but I don't. And I actually do. I like Hemingway, but like Melville, I don't like at all. Dickens,
A
kind
Christmas
of.
Story.
Um, I'm
But
weird with that, but
my favorite Christmas movie is Scrooged. So
really,
oh, I love
your
Bill
favorite
Murray.
Christmas movie?
Yeah.
Mine is This Christmas, and I don't even think half the people know what that is. So
I don't know if I know that one.
it's with Chris Brown and Idris Elba
Oh.
and a couple other famous actors. It's like a very, I don't know. It's not like a popular Christmas movie, but I watch it every Christmas because I love it.
Yeah.
So
Scrooged and A Christmas Story is what I grew up with in my house. Well, TBS would play it 24/7. So
I thought you would say Die Hard. Honestly, knowing
Die
you, I
Hard,
was
oh
expecting
yeah,
you to say Die Hard.
Die Hard's still up there with for my Christmas movies. Yeah. He used yeah, yeah, you can't write on someone's shirt, "Now I have a machine gun, ho, ho, ho," and not expect to be a Christmas movie.
Fair.
Diana says the classics are great. Yes, I love the classics. Scrooged is my favorite. Mine too. Okay, so, is kinda going off on so I read your blog post that you got sick while overseas. How often does the local environment take you out? Because like, I'd be afraid to have a piece of lettuce in Mexico.
See, I never get sick at home. I You can almost guarantee I'm gonna get sick while traveling. And I'm pretty good at it now. I think I'm a professional at getting sick traveling. I have it like down to an art. I die for like 24 hours and then I'm good. And except for Japan, I didn't get sick in Japan. Turkey got super
Oh,
sick
yeah, I
in
read that.
Cappadocia. I just like vomited. I cried. I was young for my mommy, hugging the toilet, no shame. Um, I barfed like 5 days of food out, I think, and just hugged the toilet and then slept for hours and I was fine, good to go. Got on an airplane the next morning. I always get sick the day before I fly too. It
Oh,
always happens where I'm almost always I get super sick the day before I fly. Um, and then in Pakistan I got crazy sick because I'm dumb. By now, you would think that someone that's been to over 60 countries would know you shouldn't eat that street food because bacteria is probably going to mess you up.
yep.
And I had just gotten off the craziest 19-hour bus ride, the most alarming thing I've ever done in my entire life, I think, because that bus was crazy. And even the local Pakistanis were like, "Why are you on this bus? This is a local bus. You're crazy." Um, in the land, because it was through the mountains.
Mm.
So there's landslides, guardrails are twisted like pretzels. There's cars that are crushed. You're going over cliffs. At one point, I actually looked and I was like, "Oh my gosh, I'm going to sleep because if I die, I want to be asleep while I die." Because it was so scary. And you have to go to military checkpoints. They take your passport because you're a tourist. At one point, because the most dangerous part of Pakistan, they actually put military on your bus for like a half hour so you get through this zone. It's crazy. Um, so I was hungry and I was like, "Ooh, that bread looks good," like a kind of like naan, but like Pakistani naan. And I was like, "Okay." And it's right on the dirty main street. And the guy gives it to me, and I eat it. And then I got bacteria from that. And then I hiked after being on this bus and going all day long. And I was hitchhiking all day. And these Pakistani guys bought me milk tea. I don't even drink dairy, but I didn't want to say no because it's rude.
Yeah.
So I drank it. And then I hiked up this mountain to my hotel, which was like 3,000 feet elevation gain up into the mountain, and was in the sun all day. So I got bacteria poisoning. I didn't get elevation sickness because I don't really get sick from it, but I was a little bit woozy from the exertion, and I got like heat exhaustion a little bit. So I got to my hotel, I was super comfy, and then all of a sudden I was just like dying, and I spent about 2 days of dying. And the power went out when I finally tried to shower, and it's glacier water up there because they wash with the water from the mountain.
Yeah.
So I washed with this crazy freezing water, had
Ooh.
pretty much tremors for like 2 hours,
That'll wake you up.
and even the yeah, and even the hotel guy was like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "I don't know, man. Like, I don't know. Actually, I might die in your hotel bed." Um, and the next day, I was like, "I'm in northern Pakistan. I'm going to hike." So I went up and I hiked. I wanted to die, but I did. Then it was okay. But that was one of the worst sicknesses I've ever had because I could not like stop.
Yeah.
And luckily, in Pakistan, you can order rice, and they give you like when I say a plate of rice, I mean like 10 cups of rice. It's the craziest amount of rice I've ever seen. Um, so yeah, pretty much every trip I get sick. I'm a professional.
Yeah, right. Dan says, I got food poisoning this last summer. Never again. I'm not an adventurous eater. Yeah, what's the weirdest thing that you've eaten? 'Cause you've been all over the
Guinea
world,
pig,
so guinea pig?
guinea pig
Oh
in
my god,
Peru.
that is awesome. Okay, so my daughter last year, went to nationals because I think something about figuring out how to farm guinea pigs for Peru because it's the staple there. An
Yep.
efficient way to farm them. So she went to nationals on it.
Whoa, that's crazy. I mean, I'm a vegetarian now, everybody, so I don't eat guinea pigs anymore. I don't get to try a lot of the crazy foods because I won't eat them because I would have eaten like a chocolate dipped tarantula in India because they do that.
Yeah.
But I was like, no, I've been vegetarian for years. I'm not going to do it. So there is crazy stuff that I would try if it weren't for my ethics as a vegetarian. But
Can you
I was
really
not a vegetarian in Peru. So
well, when you think about I've never heard vegetarians turn down insects, but I wonder how many of them actually face it. So
well, I actually have a deep love for tarantulas.
mm.
So that's another reason I want to eat them because I used to be semi-afraid of spiders, and then in Guatemala, this random crazy Guatemalan guy was like, "Hold this random tarantula near the pyramids," and I was like, "What?" He like brought her out with a piece of like grass. She came out, and I held this wild tarantula, and I just remember staring at it and being like, "Spiders are magic." And then from that moment on, I was like, "I'll never ever hurt another spider."
No.
And I have a shower spider. She just hangs out, and
Yeah, there's someone here that likes to name them and keep them in the windowsill.
hey,
I'm not a big fan. Diana, let's see. Jennifer says, I get poisoned a lot, unfortunately. Yeah, but that's because you have other issues. Diana says, I need to experience everything in life. I let other people do crazy things. Well, you're talking to the right person. I don't know anybody personally that has traveled more than you. You have got to do some of the most amazingly batshit crazy things that I could possibly think of. I mean, like I just read off, this was all in 2024, mind you. Tea with the Taliban after getting sick out of your mind. The Tibetan tattoo artist. You went to Turkey, um, like all over the place. And so it's
I went to
insane.
Uzbekistan on that trip too. Actually, it was Uzbekistan, Turkey, and Greece. Oh, and Tajikistan. I
Yeah.
walked through the Tajikistan border, which was also a weird experience. But
So that is so cool. And I'm so envious. I probably would have got shot in Pakistan. Have a bit of a
they all just thought I was. They all thought I was Pakistani. Actually, Pakistan was. They probably wouldn't. They probably wouldn't even know because some of the people there are crazy, crazy European. Because Alexander the Great.
mm,
So there's some like actually very Greek looking people there. When I first got to northern Pakistan, I got a SIM card, and the guy who was crazy white, blonde, blue, like crazy blue eyes, blonde with like that wavy like
oh
northern Greek
yeah.
hair. I was like, dude, you look like you just got off a freaking like plane from Thessaloniki. He's like, no, I'm Pakistani. I was like, well, Alexander the Great, you're his like great, 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 whatever you are, because
Wow. Yeah. Let's see. Jennifer just found a chocolate tarantula on Amazon, getting it from Mike. No, you're not. I'm not eating chocolate tarantulas. Sorry.
yeah, when you have me and
This,
Laura on, you can do it. You can eat
no,
it.
no. I don't think so, Tim. Oh my God. I've always wanted to say that. I don't know anybody named Tim. So, but yeah, so you've had one hell of a year. So where are your travels? It's a Valentine's gift. No, 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 thank you. Okay, so where are you planning to travel this year? Do you have any idea,
In
or do you just
March,
kind of
I'm
just
going
throw
to
it?
New Zealand.
Ooh, get
Um,
pictures of that one.
might either. Oh, for sure. It'll be all over my Instagram.
Oh yeah,
I'll be there for 2 weeks. So,
nice.
and then in June, might go to either Scotland or Sicily. That's kind of up in the
Oh, it's
air.
another one. Scotland.
And I'm
Oh,
trying to decide if I want to go to China or the Caucasus, like Georgia, Azerbaijan, and Armenia. I'm trying to choose between the two. It should be an easy choice because the Chinese visa for U.S. citizens is crazy expensive and annoying. But I also have just been dying to do China, and I also just saw my friend went and posted videos, and there's a place you can only go for one day
mm,
in Chengdu. And you feed the pandas, and by feed them, I mean they're like crawling on you, like hugging you, and you're playing with them.
nice.
And you can only go once. They only allow you to go once. And I was like, now you're kind of tugging my
Yeah,
arm because I would love to hug a panda.
that'd
So
be awesome. Add that to your bucket list. I mean, your bucket list must be
yeah,
big.
I used to have this tiny bucket list, and I feel like every time I travel, it adds. It's like all of my books in one. I think it's so big now.
Yep, and I think it's cool that you incorporate some of the animals from your travels into your book. Too bad that can't do a panda now. Try to work it into book 6 somehow.
I actually don't think I worked pandas in. I in book 2 though, I do add my dog. My dog becomes a character.
Hey. Well, cool. Let's see, it is 7:55. I think I am about out of questions here. Does anybody else have any questions for Timothy before we um say goodnight? Don't forget that the QR code that I have on the stream is takes you directly to his newest book, Tales of Battle, which came out last Wednesday. And in March, hopefully we can get him and Laura on again for their book, Mediterranean what?
Mediterranean waves.
Waves. That's right. And I'm looking forward to stoking the fires on cover art.
It'll be fun. You all should definitely be here for that. 'Cause that's going to be exciting.
Oh yeah. Let's see. Diana says yes. Timothy could totally do a memoir on all his travels. Do you plan on doing that at any point? You could probably write several.
I've thought about it. I started like a poetry book to like honor all the countries, and then I don't like writing about myself. I've tried because everybody's been asking me to do that for like years, and I try. It feels a little bit narcissistic when I do it almost.
Yeah.
And it feels almost inauthentic because it's like I'm trying to sell myself. I'd rather someone else write it.
Well,
Um,
what you one thing to keep in mind is that I wouldn't necessarily call it narcissistic. You were living a life that a lot of people never get to experience. So you get to see things that people like me will probably never get to experience. So seeing it from someone's point of view is actually kind of interesting. That's why people write memoirs. And
well,
you, my
you
friend,
guys might be swaying me. You guys might be swaying me because
yeah,
it with that perspective, it could be fun. I just have a hard time writing about myself. I don't know.
I could help you with the poetry. Roses are red, violets are blue. I'm sick in Pakistan. How are you?
I could write some fun ones about my sickness because I've been sick so much.
Oh, there you go. That would be a book by itself. Getting
Just
ill
call it barf.
overseas. Yeah.
Barf around the world. That's
Uh,
A Timothy Robare story.
I have thrown up on 6 different continents.
Growing up on quite a few of them, at least.
Yeah. Have you ever been to Antarctica?
I haven't. I should have when I went to Patagonia. I just met 3 people that went, and I asked them how much it was, and I was like, "Hell
Oh, yeah.
no,
It's
that's
like a
like
was it like I saw something. I think it was the flat Earth guy got sent to Antarctica for like $16,000, something like that. Like that
it."
is
The pretty much
insane.
the minimum is 13,000, and for 13,000, I could travel the whole globe like 8
Oh
times,
yeah.
honestly. So,
You
but
also
one
go
day I will do the Drake Passage.
you also go to places that a lot of people don't want to go.
I do.
Like
That's kind of my forte, actually.
I don't see a lot of people lining up to have tea with the Taliban. So
That's actually kind of my forte is going to places like Saudi Arabia and Pakistan where people don't go because I just think it's super fun to go before everybody else does. And my family doesn't think it's as cool because they always freak out, but I think it's really cool. And also, I just get to meet these really authentic people because they're not over touristed, so you get this experience that they're like, "Whoa, what the heck are you doing here?" Although, depending on where I am, they just think I'm a local, so it's awkward.
no,
But like in Uzbekistan, they all just thought I was Uzbek. Even the guy next to me on the airplane was like, "Are you Uzbek?" And I was like,
no.
"I'm not Uzbek at all." He was like, "Oh,
Nice. Let's see. No, Timothy is my favorite guest. I don't want him to go. Well, it's 8 o'clock. We have to wrap it up, Diana. You can catch him on TikTok. If I would have thought about it, I would have put your TikTok link on the description, but I didn't this time. But I believe you have it on. Was it your Threads account that has your links to it, or you had something that had all of
my
the?
link tree has it." I think pretty sure
Yeah.
my link tree has it, which is on Threads. So, if you guys want to see the crazy pre this TikTok, you can go look at Timmy is no gazelle because it's absolutely ridiculous. It's got me singing with a horse in Renaissance garb and
Nice.
using my cat and my pigs singing The Lion King, and it's absolutely ridiculous. And I made this. I don't drink anymore. I don't even know how this account got its name. I just remember being really drunk one night when TikTok first started, and I was sitting there trying to think of a name, And I woke up the next morning and my name was Timmy is no gazelle.
Well, you're
And I was
not.
like, I have no idea. I am definitely not.
We had a conversation you have with your dog.
Yeah, I
Now,
don't know who swayed me or
that's
how,
I was
but
gonna say that's more of a cat thing. The cat did it.
yeah. Well, I did
Oh,
have two cats, and one was quite the douchebag, so he probably did
well, there you go. Hey, you're not a gazelle, man.
it.
Well, cool. Well, thank you very much for being on the show. Don't forget that his book is available on Amazon. Is it on Barnes& and Noble?
It is not yet.
Okay.
I'm hoping to get it on there. I've been so lazy. I'm the laziest author in the entire universe.
I finally got my Barnes& and Noble account fixed last year, and I still haven't added Kingmaker to it. So don't feel bad. That
I
book's
don't
been out
think
for
I've
2
added.
years.
I think I've only added 2 books to it. Yeah, I keeping up with all the social medias is the most taxing thing that you could not ever prepare for.
Yep. It
It's
is
been
a
burning me to the bones right lately, especially between climbing, hiking, playing
oh, yeah.
basketball, working out, and all the other things. Keeping up with the social medias, I've been.
See, but at least you have frame of mind to at least set up a camera and take some pictures. I don't. I suck at that. I'm trying to be more active on Instagram. I have no idea what to take pictures of. I don't climb mountains or adventure through forests or get served tea by the Taliban.
Take feet pics.
Yeah, there we
People
go.
love
Yeah.
feet pics.
Well, I
That's what I hear.
take a lot of pictures of my dog, Banana Bread.
People love
Everybody,
dogs.
yeah, everybody thinks Banana Bread's awesome. She gets more likes than I do.
My
So,
dog likes banana. Oh wait, is your dog named Banana Bread?
yeah, it's my daughter's dog.
Oh,
It's a
my
English
dog is a
bulldog.
banana bread thief.
Oh,
So she's actually eaten about 8 loaves. So my favorite banana bread is from Vermont, and my mom brings it,
yeah,
and she's eaten like 3 loaves of it.
nice.
Yeah, she
I used to have a
sucks.
I used to have a dog that would eat like every year for Easter. I'd get a 1 pound chocolate rabbit that I would never get to eat because my lab ate it for like 8 straight
Dang,
years.
dang.
I miss that dog. Sam says that your dog is so cute. Where
Mine?
did yeah, where'd you his dog or my dog? 'Cause you said his. Do you have pictures
Oh,
of your
thank
dog on?
you. Yeah, she's. I think I have some pictures on my Instagram of her. She also has her own Instagram. Um, Pretty sure she's on my TikTok on a few of my videos too, because she likes to jump in and do whatever she wants to do.
Man. Doesn't chocolate kill dogs? It
Not all
depends.
dogs.
Yeah, not yeah. Bandit was 80 pounds of teeth, so a little bit of chocolate's not going to stop that dog. He ate
I used to have
half
a
a
Shih Tzu that ate a bunch of chocolate too.
well, this dog ate hoses. He ate half a bicycle tube. He ate the pedal off of a bicycle. An
Gosh.
aluminum an aluminum serving pan, half a bowl. Dog was a goat.
Whoa.
It wasn't the sharpest tack in the box, but he was a lot of fun. He lived to be 18. That's like,
That's incredible. I hope
well,
Valkyrie lives to be 18.
yeah,
Although I'll be
it's
out of a lot of banana bread by then. Actually,
you
she ate
know,
my
already.
pancake this morning too. But
Um, kid, hey Sam, since you're a moderator, can you find um Tim's link tree and put it in the chat for me? That'd be great. Before we wrap that up, that way, if anybody's curious about your TikToks and whatnots, because I didn't think to add it because I suck. But I did add the cool new Chiron that has your name and the QR code, so there. Because so while she tries, is there anything else that we wanted to bring up? Um, I can't think of anything. We talked about all the cool stuff. Like I was really curious about the man and his daughter. So
oh, there's so many more cool things. But we'd be here all night if we talked about them all.
oh, I would love to hear him. You've got some interesting shit going on, dude. I would love to have you on the show again to yeah, just say to health books and just talk about Tim's travels.
That sounds like a good blog, actually. Actually,
Yeah.
I'm starting to do a blog. Well, I was going to, but my friend, she's German. She's also an author. She's going through some personal stuff. So we did our first one, and we're gonna. It's like about traveling and stuff because We both travel a bit and whatnot. We're both authors, so we are like, oh, this is cool. And she asked me to be the co-host, but it's going to be a while now because we did our first one. Neither of us know anything about editing, and I have no time to edit whatsoever.
Oh,
And she's
it's
going through
fun.
some personal stuff, so it's going to be a bit out.
Yeah.
Oh, I just got a follow from Samantha, which I assume is the one from here.
Yep. More than likely. Jennifer says, thanks, Timothy. Looking forward to the reading. Diana says, will Timothy do a hot tub stream? You've kind of already done a hot tub picture with was that a hot pool or a hot spring that you were in on Instagram
And
probably a few months ago? Because you're like
yes,
kind of laid
yes, it
back, and
was.
that was a beautiful.
Yep, it was.
Where
It's
the
in Central Oregon.
Oh, I would love that. You find some of the most coolest places.
Honestly, one
So,
of my favorite hot springs is in Colorado.
oh yeah,
It's Iron Mountain in Glenwood Springs, and I actually
hey,
miss it because I
Glenwood
used to go all the
Springs,
time.
woot!
Glenwood is. I'm a little bit of a Colorado hater, but Glenwood is one of the
Oh,
gems in the world to me.
I love Colorado.
But I know I ran away from Colorado. I ran. Well, I love Colorado. I don't like Denver.
All right, well, I don't know because I'm in Denver. I might have to take offense. No,
I
I
figured,
love
but
Lookout Mountain. Lookout Mountain is one of my favorite places to go. I've done
I used to
both
go
my
up there a
book
lot.
covers up
I
there.
wanted to paraglide off it, but I never
Oh,
got
yeah.
to.
Yeah, that'd be
Everybody
fun.
goes paragliding off it. I know, and I never got it. I never got that chance. So, but
Well,
that's okay.
go up there in the fall, and you can get in the middle of the elk migration, and that is cool because elk aren't small. So when you see like a ton of
Do you
them
know how
going
fast they run?
across, yeah. When you see a
They
ton of
run
them
40 miles per hour.
when you see a ton of them going across the road that you're trying to drive, it's a different experience.
I actually snuck up on them at me and my friend went to Rocky Mountain National Park. We got really close to them, and someone yelled from the road, "Hey, you know how fast those things run?" I said, "Faster than me, I'm sure.
Oh
But
yeah.
I'm no gazelle."
Yeah.
And I was like really up close taking photos with my camera. And I was Googling at the same time because I was like, how fast do elk run? And it was like 43 miles per hour or something. I was like, oh man, this thing wants to stop me.
Yep.
I'm just going to roll over and die.
Pretty close. Okay, so wait, really? Okay, now I need to get on TikTok. Yeah, I don't know if you have any hot tub TikToks, do you? 'Cause I know you do a
I
lot of
don't think
shirtless
so.
ones.
I think I have a bathtub one. I think.
There you go, Diana. Sam did post your link tree. That is all the information for you that has your threads, your TikToks, everything else. I can't remember what's all on your link tree. It's been a while since I looked at it.
It's been a while since I've looked at it, actually.
And he's reading poetry too. Oh, see, you got a lot of fans.
Thanks, everybody. I need them.
Well, it is 8:08. We can wrap this up. Thank you very much for being on the show again. I'm looking forward to. I got to read the first one, and then definitely got to read the second. And looks like Jennifer bought the two as well. And hopefully, we'll get you both, Laura and you, on in March when your book comes out. I'm gonna hit Laura up soon and find out for sure because I think that'd be really fun to have you both on. So
I
we'll.
messaged her after. We were talking before this, so I'll give her a shot too.
Oh, yeah. That'd be. I really would love to have you guys on. You two are probably some of the funnest guests I've had on the show, and looking forward to it. So, anything in the near future that you're working on? Just the edits?
Getting Mediterranean Waves out, finishing editing book 3, moving on to 4, 5, 6, and possibly starting this other fantasy series. My dad's actually starting to illustrate a cover for me, so like a one of a kind cover, hopefully, because he's a great visual artist, unlike me.
Nice.
I'm hoping to move into that when I get a little more inspiration and actually am feeling it. But right now, just kind of enjoying trying to get people to buy book 1 and 2 and pushing 3 out, and then me and Laura might write something else together too, and then my ghost writing. So
Yeah.
I started off saying not really, but now I just listed that all off, and I feel like it's a lot.
Not really, just 5 other books. Well, don't forget we'll have to have you back on when your next book, your third book, comes out. and we'll talk some more about your travels because I love hearing about them. Thank
Sounds
you very
good.
much for being on. And is there anything anybody else wants to ask before we call it a night? Diana says, if I wear a bikini in a hot tub, I can sell more books. Um,
Probably. I
yeah.
think if girls do that, they definitely sell more than me.
Well, there's a reason why I stopped streaming on Twitch on a certain time on Wednesdays is because I was competing with Amaranth. Everybody kept leaving me to go watch a hot tub stream. You can't compete with that.
No, it's
Nobody wants to see
that's
me in
what
a
I
hot
try to
tub.
do on TikTok. I know I scroll through TikTok and I'm like, man, like I'm trying to compete with that. I'm just trying to, show some nip and some book. Dang.
um, Michael, is it true even if I'm fat? Um, yeah, well, look at like I know people that have done YouTube shorts and just like went viral without showing anything really, just a bunch of cleavage. So you never know. There's a
Well,
market for everything.
everybody likes something anyways. And men, we're both men. Men are easy.
Oh yeah,
We're easy. There's no matter
very.
who you are, no matter what you dress like or anything, there's going to be a flock of men always waiting.
Yep,
So,
pretty much. So say we all. All right. Well, thank you very much for being on the show again, Tim. We'll have to
yeah,
have you
thanks for
on.
having me.
Uh, hopefully, we can get you guys on in March and talk about um, uh, book covers. I'm so excited.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's gonna be fun. That'll be a fun one for sure.
All righty. Well, you have a good evening. Thank you guys for hanging out with us, and we'll see you hopefully soon.
Thanks everyone. Bye.
Okay. Have a good one.